Well, last year the death of Elijah Doughty, a young boy from Western Australia, sparked nationwide rallies and calls for justice. So, what is it really like to be a young person living in Kalgoorlie-Boulder? And what are the family going to do to try and get justice? Madeline Hayman-Reber travelled to Kalgoorlie to find out.
To many people, Kalgoorlie-Boulder is known for the gold rush of 1893. In fact, the whole town has been built around the mining industry.
The mining around Kalgoorlie-Boulder right now is as good as it's gone in the last 20 years.
But since last year, this town has been known for something else. The tragic death of 14-year-old boy Elijah Doughty. 1 year on, his family is still mourning his tragic loss and are searching for answers.
Yeah, I'm just starting to grieve. It hasn't really hit me yet. You can't grieve here. And probably because of all my children I've got with me, I don't like to cry in front of them. Do it behind closed doors.
Before he was killed, Elijah was a happy-go-lucky teenage boy who loved riding motorbikes. In fact, he did chores for his grandfather to earn enough money to buy his very first 2 bikes.
He helped me around the yard and he's always given me a hand doing things. Loved his sport, never missed a day's training, never missed a game of footy. Loved his football, loved his motorbikes. So.
Elijah had been riding an allegedly stolen motorbike the morning he was run down and killed in bushland known as Gribble Creek. The man responsible for his death was convicted of dangerous driving causing death, receiving a 3-year sentence or 2 years with parole. The family questions the way the investigation was handled.
They never even taped it off after he got killed. The excuse was we run out of tape and the ambulance run all over the tracks and people been walking over them. They never done a good job. But forensic did go over the car and the motorbike. But the public prosecutions, the DDP, they never done the job properly.
And Albert says he doesn't feel the family's appeal of the sentence was given a fair shot.
We appealed to the Western Australian court, but they wouldn't have nothing to do with it. They didn't even read the transcript. No, straight out. Same as I don't know what's wrong with the justice system in WA, it's just shocking.
Academic and social justice advocate Jerry Georgatos looked after the family immediately after the event. He, like many others, believes the sentence was too light.
He pursued him at speed, he was in a vehicle that was only going to cause harm, and it is implausible to me to argue a case to defend that. The sentence was light by all descriptions. The sentence was a disappointment because it sends a powerful message that there's no justice, even to this day, for someone who's a First Nations person.
Sydney-based lawyer Stuart Levitt represented the people of Palm Island in a class action against the state of Queensland. He's now acting on the family's behalf, taking the matter to the High Court.
There's 2 things. One, we would bring an action on behalf of the family for damages against the culprit. The second approach we would take would be to lodge a complaint with the Australian Human Rights Commission under the Racial Discrimination Act.
During the trial of the man who killed Elijah, protests were held out the front of Kalgoorlie Courthouse. 2 of the 3 protesters who were charged for throwing rocks at the windows received a sentence of 1 year each. One of them will now also be represented by Mr. Levitt to try and reduce their sentence.
The sort of sentences that have been handed out to some of the black people that were involved in protesting their exclusion from the court process were disproportionately high compared with the sentence which a white man has received for killing a 14-year-old black boy who was riding his motorcycle, or allegedly riding his motorised bike.
But Elijah's death isn't the first time children have been chased in cars in Kalgoorlie-Boulder. Youth justice activist Dylan Voller travelled to Kalgoorlie to support the family on the 1-year anniversary. He spent time with Elijah's friends, talking around the campfire. He said what he discovered was disturbing.
Yeah, in a way it's kind of similar to Alice Springs. You know, they've got their vigilante group and stuff like that. operating, chasing all the community kids around town, threatening to bash them and kill them. saying they deserve to get run over, saying that they're going to do stuff like that.
Elijah's friends say racism is an everyday occurrence for them.
A bit terrified really, because you know that every white person in Kalgoorlie hates black kids. Sometimes you probably walk along the streets and you got people, you know, screaming out their window, "Fuck you, black," or poking up signs or something, you know. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. Yeah, can't do nothing, because, you know, we're the people who will get charged or get thrown in jail at the end of the day.
Because of black.
Because of the skin colour. Like if it was white, yeah, we'd probably be able to do something about it.
If you ask anyone in the Aboriginal community in Kalgoorlie-Boulder, they'll tell you there is a problem with racism in the town. Many blame Facebook hate groups that were deleted around the time Elijah was killed, but have now reappeared.
There's still a lot of hate. I don't go onto the pages because I don't want to read it. It'll upset me more. So I just keep off the pages.
Now, people in Kalgoorlie-Boulder may say they're not racist. I believe that's a normal to them because that's how they've treated Aboriginal people all their lives.
Yep.
So they're not racist. It's a normal thing to them.
However, Mayor of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, John Bowler, says that while he recognises the town has some level of racism, he doesn't see it as a problem.
Well, I don't think it's any better or worse than anywhere else in regional Australia. I'd like to see it less, but the level we have is always too high. Any racism is wrong, and I think the tragedy of a year ago really brought all that out. But when people say Kalgoorlie-Boulder is a racist town, I've lived anywhere else, but I travel a lot, and as I say, it's no better, no worse, but I'd like to see it better than anywhere else.
In November last year, Mr Bowler held a forum to try and put together a plan to engage youth, with a report set to come out next month. He hopes that his town will one day be a model town.
If something can come from Elijah's death, it would be, for me, that Kalgoorlie-Boulder becomes a model town for regional Australia, so that this type of thing doesn't happen again, that local youth, particularly Indigenous, are more active in the workforce, living full and fulfilling lives, and yeah, that would make me happy as a mayor.
For now, the family just wants to get justice for a little boy who was taken from the world way too soon.
Yeah. I can't do it, sorry. You don't mind if I leave?
If we justify the rage that led to this boy's death, then we can justify rage for anything. We can justify rage for domestic violence. So all the domestic violence campaigns that are being run across the country at the moment, well, we can excuse all the perpetrators because rage can be justified according to the verdict.
Elijah's grandfather said he appreciated the support the family has received from mob around Australia, but he hopes it leads to real change.
They've been supporting this cause for Elijah since he lost his life all year. And not only in Perth too, but they have a lot of marches and they're going to keep on marching until we get justice for Elijah.